Hey everyone, I'm back. So there's a lot of discussion regarding should we boycott China, can we boycott China, is it going to hurt us, is it going to hurt them, etc. 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 So before I even start, I want to ask you something. There's a shop selling grocery which is very important for you, and that's only shop selling grocery. And this guy, for whatever reason, beats up your brother. For whatever reason, doesn't matter. Would you still go back to the same shop to buy a grocery? Or will you find a way to go to some other shop even if it is farther away? Well, that's just a question. It's up to you to decide. Anyway, I'm going to come back to whether or not we can boycott China, whether or not we should boycott China. So before I get into that, I want to give you a small lesson on what exactly is costing and pricing of a product. Costing is the amount that it costs a company to manufacture a product. Pricing is the price at which it sells the product. So the difference between costing and pricing is the profit margin. So you take the costing of a product, add your profit margin, and that becomes the pricing, right? So that is one thing. Now, what is costing of a product? Costing is essentially made of two components, two major components, that is direct costing and indirect costing. Direct costing is the cost which went directly into the product. For example, you use some labor to manufacture it or assemble it, you use some components, so the cost of the components, and you use some energy and some electricity, etc., which went into production of the product. So this is the direct cost. And then there is salaries you pay the people who are not directly involved in manufacturing the product. That could be your sales department, your legal department, your HR department, your marketing, etc., etc., etc. So this is all indirect costing, right? Cost which doesn't go directly into the product, but still it costs the company. So when a company calculates the total cost of a product, it takes into account the direct cost and the indirect cost, and then adds a profit margin and then sells the product, right? So when we buying a Chinese product, so what we're doing is we are paying for whatever cost they incurred on manufacturing the product, plus we are paying the indirect cost, plus we are paying them the profit margin. So we're paying them everything that has gone into the product. Now let's come to what happens if you buy a product which is not made in China, but which has Chinese components. Now, for example, if I buy a product, let's say Samsung, let's say Intex, let's say any Indian brand or American brand, which is not made in China, but it has Chinese components. Now what happens? We have paid the non-Chinese company the profit margin and some of the direct and indirect costs. Only some direct costs, which are the cost of the components, has gone to China. So very small margin. Now there is many kinds of pricing strategies in the world. So one of them is known as competitive pricing and one of them is known as premium pricing. For example, if I'm buying a Samsung product and it has some Chinese components, which doesn't matter to me, in that case what will happen is that Samsung will source these components from the cheapest available within the quality parameters, the cheapest available source in the world, because they have experts to buy that product. Means they probably have a team of maybe hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people sometimes, depending on how big the company is, and then these professionals go and buy those components at the cheapest, best price available. Now what happens when we buy a product in the market? We don't have a team of people to do a study. We buy from our heart. We say, oh my God, I love this brand. I love the brand ambassador. I love the message that they stand for, etc., etc. And we buy a product. Of course, we do a study, but a study is not that thorough. And finally, it's a hard decision. But when these companies buy these components, they don't take a very sporadic hard decision. They take a very brain decision of which component to buy, which means that they pay a very small margin to them as profit, compared to a product which consumers buy where the profit margins are normally very, very high. For example, you might be knowing that one of the most profitable companies in the world today is Apple, because the Apple products that they sell at a huge profit margin. That means if it costs them X amount to manufacture a product, including your direct and indirect costs, they add 2x, 3x, 4x as the profit margin, because they know that they have a brand visibility and a brand recall, and then they use that to price the product and demand a premium in the market. But if Apple was selling some component to some other company, let's say a chip, then they would not be able to charge a kind of premium. When you buy a non-Chinese product with Chinese components, we are not really paying that much money to China. Of course, some money is always going to China. It's like, when you have insects like mosquitoes in the house, or you have rodents in your farm, what do? You use some pesticide, use some insecticide. Are you able to kill each one of them? No, that's never going to happen. We've been using drugs against malaria forever. Have we eradicated malaria? No, we have not. Does that mean that because we can't do a 100% job, we won't do a job at all? So by boycotting Chinese goods, maybe we're not going to boycott them 100%. But whatever percent is we are able to impact, that is going to make a difference to them. That is going to make a difference to the economy. How much difference? Doesn't matter. Even if it's a drop in the ocean, it counts. Okay, so now a lot of people are saying, what about all the government contracts? What about that railway contract? What about that road contract? Why is that being given to China? First of all, let me explain. See, what happens with government contracts is, they normally get either their own funding or they take the funding from some Indian institution like some bank or some consortium, or they take funding from international banks like the IMF or the Asian Development Bank or the World Bank, etc. So when any project is funded by an international bank, they normally put a condition that we'll fund only if this project is an international tender. That means every country in the world can compete and there'll be no bias against any particular country or company. So if there's an infrastructure project, like for example a railway or a roadway project, which has gone to a Chinese company, where it's probably funded by an international bank, right? And the process of this tender did not start today. It started many years ago. So how is a government tender awarded? Once a government releases a tender, it puts in a particular specifications, and then companies bid against those specifications. So first what you do is, you first technically qualify these bids. That out of these 20 or 10 or 15 bids that we got, 5 are technically okay. They have crossed the threshold of whatever we require. Now out of these 5, which is the lowest? It's called L1. So we have L1 as the lowest, L2 is the second lowest, L3 is the third lowest, etc. Now once you go to that stage, then you take technical clarifications, even further clarifications, and you may eradicate a couple of other guys. So now the least priced bid will win. So that is the process of a tender. Now if it is a World Bank or an Asian Development Bank or a foreign bank funded project, this company which got the contract could be a Chinese company, and there's nothing the government can do about it unless the government drops the project altogether. They say, okay, we're not going to do this project at all, we don't need this funding from this bank, and we're going to drop the project. So if you're cribbing about, oh, why is the government still awarding contract to Chinese companies, etc., etc., this is the reason. Now there's one more reason. Why doesn't the government ban everything? Now what happens is that our government and most of the other governments in the world, which are part of UN, part of the WTO, they have certain agreements, worldwide agreements, of which India is a signatory. We have certain obligations which we have committed in the WTO, that will not impose more than so much duty and will not stop the import of so and so country, because the moment we do that, other countries can retaliate because we are breaking an agreement. So as a country, banning products from another country is a huge decision, and the repercussions will be manifold. But as individuals, as consumers, if we take the decision that we're going to do this, that we're going to stop buying Chinese goods because the government cannot, because of so many obligations. It's not that this government or that government or that government or this party or that party. Is as a country we have taken certain decisions and signed some agreements which we have to stand by. Because what happens is that in the international law, the only basis of international law is the agreements. The moment you stop following an international agreement, you've broken an international law, and then you suffer. So for the government to take such decisions, it takes time. Government cannot take sporadic decisions. It has to take very informed decisions, and they have to take very well thought out decisions. Whereas that is not the case with an individual. So I can take a decision not to buy a Chinese product right now, and nobody can. I don't have to ask anyone, right? If I love my country enough, if I think that this is the right thing to do, and which I think it is, then we can take a decision right away. So now what about the Indian companies or the other companies which are using Chinese components? So we say that, okay, if you buy Intex or Micromax, they're also using Chinese components. So when they bought these components and when they started making these products, we didn't have so much of a problem with China. So we were buying their components and using them, right? So today if Micromax or Lava or any Indian company decides, or even South Korean companies or even American companies that are selling in India, they decide that they will no longer buy any components from China. Well, they already probably hold some stock, Chinese stock. So at least that stock is going to be used. They're not going to throw it away. And then by the time all the components are non-Chinese, or most of the components are non-Chinese, it may be a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year. Depends on how much stock you have and what is the immediate alternate source. It may not be immediate. So okay, so here's what you could do. A, stop buying products which say made in China. There are two Chinas, right? Taiwan calls themselves China, right? And China calls themselves China. So China is called PRC, that is People's Republic of China. So they normally write made in China or made in PRC. And Taiwan writes made in ROC because they call themselves the Republic of China. So when you see any product with ROC, so that's not China, that's China's biggest enemy, ROC Taiwan. So the first thing you could do is stop buying products which are made in China, because if you buy a product made in China, you're paying them the direct cost, the indirect cost, the profit margin, everything. All of it is going to them. Next you could do is products that has Chinese components, but not immediately. Continue buying them for now. Over a period of time, these companies will automatically stop sourcing from China. If they don't, well, understand that they didn't have an alternative, right? But you have to live with this much evil. That's okay, that's fine. At least the major portion is not going to them. Don't fall into the trap of people telling you, oh, we cannot live without them, oh, they have Chinese components everywhere. But hurt them as much as you can. If you can't hurt them 100%, hurt them 50%. If you can't hurt them 50%, hurt them 40%, but hurt them. Okay, one more thing I want to tell you. India and China signed an agreement in 1996 that on this border, will not use any guns or will not use any arms within 2 kilometers of the line of actual control. So that is the reason our soldiers and their soldiers roam about there without any guns, because that's the agreement. Now the reason why the Chinese attacked our people with clubs and sticks and all that, because they took our people by surprise, because our people thought that these people are professionals and they will stick by the agreement, which they did not. What is important is that they have an encroachment to the Indian side of the LAC. You know, we have the Indian border, which we demarcate as Indian border, and there's a Chinese claim, and then there is an area in between, which is, you know, a mixed claim, which is like where there's some ambiguity. So what China has currently done is they have put the people in the ambiguous zone. They have not come into the Indian side. Ambiguous zone is where the Chinese army patrolled and we also patrolled, both of us patrolled, but there was an ambiguity. But now the Chinese people are encroaching this ambiguous land, but they're still not into Indian territory. So make that clear. I trust my army completely. I trust them 100%. I know they're doing a good job there, and we are one of the best armies in the world. Do what you can, do your part. You don't have to go to the border, you don't have to lift a gun, you don't have to get injured, you don't have to fight anyone. All you have to do is don't buy a product which is made in China. Okay, one last thing. So some people are talking about throwing your Chinese goods. Well, it doesn't help to throw your Chinese goods because China has already been paid for it, right? You already have a product which was made in China, you're already using it. For example, I'm using this t-shirt. I don't know whether it's made in China, I haven't checked, but maybe it is, but I've already paid for it and this money is already gone to China. So if I throw this away, it's not going to hurt them anyway, right? So throwing away Chinese goods is not going to hurt, yes, but stopping to use their applications is going to hurt them in two ways. A, every time you use an app, the number of users that any app has decides how much revenue they'll get in advertising on that app. That is A. And second, if they get too many uninstalls, for example, if 10 million people, 20 million people, 30, 50, 100 million people, they uninstall the app, then it sends a very strong message to the Chinese people that, oh, these guys are united, these guys have finally woken up. This message is a strong enough message for that reason, but show them your solidarity by uninstalling. There's so many, videos I'm watching, people are saying, are you stupid, uninstalling, what's going to happen, nothing's going to happen. No, who are these guys? So please don't listen to them. You have a good day, I'll come back again, bye-bye.